are back. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Tony Shields, Rob Ellis. Football Friday, Eagles, Niners. All right, last night, Tone, actually an entertaining Thursday night game, which is rare, but it was. The Cowboys, unfortunately, won 41-35 over the Seahawks. Dak Prescott, 29 of 41, 299 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, a 115.8 passer rating. A couple things stood out to me in that game. Obviously, offensively, they were able to do a lot against the Seahawks. But what stood out to me was on the other side of the ball. And I guess maybe I'm looking at this through like a scouting lens for the Eagles next week. They weren't afraid. In fact, they picked on Deron Bland in that game. And I know he had an interception in the game. Yeah, but they went at him, man. At him, big time. Like DK Metcalf went to town on him in that game.
Yeah, man. When I was watching that game too, I'm thinking to myself, okay, this Cowboys defense, as talented as they are, you can put some points on them. And you were spot on. They were targeting Deron Bland at a rate that I didn't think any team would because of his big playability, right? But I don't know what they saw in the scouting report. I don't know what they saw in the film that they felt they could exploit. I don't know if they felt like he's more so boom or bust. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, but they were exploiting him. Another thing that kind of bothered me throughout that game, man, like the penalties were just so annoying. Like,
oh my God, it was out of control.
There were points in that game where guys didn't even have to really work to get down the field. It was just penalties, and they were coming on crucial third downs against the Seahawks. Even on the other side, right, there were penalties against the Cowboys that I was like, huh? It was just penalty. It was just penalties galore. It was terrible. I'm not going to sit here and say who was it more in favor of. It was just too many penalties.
I agree.
Like, I believe in the third quarter there was already over 200 yards in total penalties in the third quarter. I'm like, what the hell's going on?
19 for 257.
And some of them, I'm like, come on, really?
Yeah.
Like, dog, this is the football. Like, these guys are going to bump into each other. Like, what are you expecting, man? Like, it was annoying. But regardless, regardless of that, it was a good win for the Dallas Cowboys. There was a point in the game where they were down by, I think, was it 8 points or 9 points, something like that? And I'm thinking to myself, okay, the Seahawks scored before the half. They got the ball back. Okay, this is a great opportunity for them. And lo and behold, Geno Smith showed his limitations.
Yeah.
It's key. There were key moments in that fourth quarter that stood out to me. The Tyler Lockett drop on third down. Or was it second down? I can't remember. But it was a key Tyler Lockett drop. He was wide open.
Yeah. They also got a field goal taken back, which the clock should have been reset. They pushed him back 5 yards, and the guy missed it after he made it the first time for whatever it's worth. I mean, I know they didn't lose by 3, they lost by 6, but that was a critical stretch of the game.
Right. Well. And then the 4th and 1 call. Oh. You run I'm like, dog, you just running it straight up at Michael Parsons and those guys. Like no. I thought it was gonna be a play action and try to catch him over the top, or at least catch him in the. You only needed 1 yard.
Yeah.
So my thing is, if you're gonna run the ball, just quarterback sneak it.
Yep.
If you're gonna pass the ball, play action, maybe hit a tight end in the flat, maybe hit DK Metcalf on a quick slant, whatever it is. Like, I just felt like play calling on in the crucial moments failed them, and also again, Geno Smith showed his limitations. And also on top of that, they even had a chance, even after they give the ball back to Dallas, had a chance. And you leave on 4th down, you leave Michael Parsons unblocked.
Right.
Like, it was just
I thought the game, look, Parsons is great. Okay. But the game plan on Parsons in general was
awful.
Was not good enough. No.
But Dallas earned it. They were down at the point of the game. They came back. Dak Prescott drove down the field. Got to give credit where credit is due. They won that game, and it was a good win against a solid opponent. I've always felt like Geno Smith had his limitations. So, again, good win against a good team. I'm not going to take nothing away from it.
Yeah, they there was not a punt in the game. It reminded me of the Super Bowl 52. There was one punt in the game. Eagles punted once. The Patriots didn't punt at all. And that was 41-33. This one was 41-35. So it was that kind of game last night. Metcalf in a losing effort. How about this? 6 catches, 134 yards and 3 touchdowns. You see how fast he was running on that first one?
Yo, he was out.
That
Yeah.
runner kind of stuff.
Yo, he was gone. You know he's studying sign language in his free time, right?
And that's what he did on his touchdown celebration. He was signing. If you go back and watch it, he's signing, which is good for him, man. That's pretty cool.
That's a great way to practice your sign language, right? Talk trash and no one knows, and it's like if you know, you know.
Yeah, pretty cool, man. Pretty
exactly.
Cool.
But overall, good game, man. Just wish it was less penalties, and I wish the rest would have just backed the hell off.
Yeah.
And obviously, I wish the Cowboys would have lost too.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, though, it was a good one for Dallas, and I think they needed that one.
No, I hear you. All right, so let's jump around here a little bit in the games pertaining to some degree to the Eagles. The Giants are off. Not that it really matters, but I'm just giving you NFC East. Cowboys played last night. The Commanders played the Dolphins. That game is in Washington, but Miami's a 9.5-point favorite in that one.
Woo!
I don't know, man. Would you grab the 9.5? Is that
nope.
That where you're going?
It's a little too steep for me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Too rich for your blood to grab
much. I'm not really a betting man anyway. I'm not really into the gambling culture of sports. It's not my thing.
All right. A couple other things here. The Colts, who have, again, I'm putting Shane Steichen in every conversation here for Coach of the Year, but they're 6-5. They play the Titans, who are 4-7. This game's in Tennessee, but Indy's a 1-point favorite. So that tells you a little something. So if you look at the standings here in the AFC, just to put in perspective where the Colts are, the Colts right now, if the season ended, would be in at 6-5, but Houston 6-5, Denver 6-5, Buffalo 6-6. It is tight, man. And if you want to take it a step further, Pittsburgh 7-4, Cleveland 7-4. That's your 5 through 10 right there in the AFC. So every win is necessary.
Yep. And the thing is, the Colts have a couple tiebreakers over the Texans and the Broncos. So
yes.
If they can just continue to stay, if they can just stay tied up with them, they get in.
Big time. I think Indy gets in. I think they get in. And good job out of Minshew. Minshew's been really solid for them. They will be without Jonathan Taylor with the thumb surgery. But Zach Moss is a pretty
Moss has been great prior to Taylor coming back.
Yeah, I feel good about him, jumping in there for them. All right, so that's that game. Other games, and we're going to get to our some other news and notes too. Oh, also in the Miami game, Devon Achane is back. So
right, he's been going for a while.
How explosive he was early in the year, but that's big getting him back in that game for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So let's stay with that for a minute. Tyreek Hill, I don't know if you're familiar with this story, but it goes back to week 6. So he does a touchdown celebration, and during the celebration, he grabs one of the credentialed photographers on the sideline. He grabs his camera and does like a backflip or whatever, a forward flip when he scores the touchdown. And the guy sort of reacted like, whatever. The league suspended the photographer for being involved in the celebration and suspended his credential for the rest of the season.
Wow.
So Tyreek Hill got wind of this because this guy's done work for him, like on the side, some photography work. He's a student. He's a kid at university. He's 20 years old. He's a student at University of Miami. So he's trying to make some extra bread, whatever. But good for Tyreek Hill. He is going to pay the expense of his game checks the rest of the year to help him out.
That's so. Sometimes I really wonder, like, who makes certain decisions in the NFL. It's like, are you guys bored or something? It's like, what the hell do you get taking a measly game check from a 20-year-old kid in Miami? What do you earn from it? It's adding to the game. It's making it more exciting. It's adding to your product.
Yeah.
And nah, that wasn't cool. We didn't like that.
I know.
You know what I mean? It's one thing. It's just.
It's the no fun league. I mean, it is.
I would have preferred if you find. I don't want anybody to lose money, but it would have made more sense to me if you find Tyreek Hill.
Well, I mean, even if you're going to be a hard ass, just tell the guy, listen. Even if you want to give him a game, which I think is over the top.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Or
say
a
to
warning.
him, hey, man,
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you're losing.
Excuse me.
You're losing your game. You're losing your game check because you got involved in a celebration. If we see it again, you lose your credential. Period. Okay, cool. We move on. It doesn't have to be the rest of the season. It didn't have to be that harsh. Whatever. I mean, it feels like it's the little people that always get picked on anyway.
Of course, because they're pawns to them. It's fun for them. It's they know they can't do anything about it. It's people that move like that, right? When they know someone can't do something about it, they just keep picking on them, and
yeah. Well, that's how you learn a lot about people in general. By the way they treat people who can't help them or are deemed as sort of like lesser than them. It's crazy. But anyway,
it's like going to a restaurant and being disrespectful to like the service. It's like
Correct.
they can't do anything about it.
Exactly.
So it's just
yeah. Well said.
Man, I so many things I would say, but we're on camera, so.
Steelers playing the Cardinals again. A lot of these are lopsided, but the better team needs to keep winning. So the Steelers are home over Arizona, and they're -5.5. This is what I'm going to be interested to see in this game. Is Pittsburgh put up a lot of yards last week offensively, but they didn't score a lot of points. So have they really turned the corner since the Matt Canada stuff, firing? And are they on the right track offensively? Will they put points up this week? Is what I'm looking at here.
I'm curious too. The Steelers are interesting. This is a game that they can win. I think they will win it. But Kyler Murray being back, it just changes everything. So, I'm curious. I'm curious to know if the Steelers can actually put up some real numbers, like you just said. The Cardinals' defense is nothing to write home about in any way. So, and you're home. So, I think I'm going to take the home team in this game. The Steelers.
Yeah, I think Pittsburgh's kind of going to get going here. It just kind of feels that way to me in that one. All right. Panthers, Bucks. The only thing of interest is it's not Frank Reich. Will the offense for Carolina look in any way, shape, or form competent? Will they get Bryce Young in the best position to succeed? Do they have the bodies to allow him to do that is the big question as far as I'm concerned. Like, I'm not telling you Reich did a great job, but I think it's easy just to scapegoat him and everybody else who's out the door now. And that's what a lot of people it feels like they're starting to do.
You fired Reich, you fired Deuce Staley. Like, it was just like you have no O-line. Look at your GM and ask him what did he do to put this team in the best possible position to succeed. Like, let's be frank about this, no pun intended. Like, you cannot expect a 5'9", 5'10" quarterback who weighs 180 pounds soaking wet, to go out there and win you football games when he has no one to throw the ball to besides an aging Adam Thielen. The running back you paid has been non-existent, on pace for one of his worst years in the NFL, and he has no offensive line. But somehow, some way, Frank Reich is the problem. Okay, all right. Makes no sense.
No, it doesn't. It makes no sense. All right, but that's the only thing to be watching for in that game. Browns and Rams. Browns obviously have stuff to play for. This game's in LA. LA's a 3.5-point favorite. Joe Flacco starting. PJ Walker backing him up is the way this thing's looking for Cleveland. Cleveland's got to win that game, Tone, because they're right in that tight stew with everybody else towards the bottom of the AFC standings.
I gotta be honest. I like the Rams in this game.
Yeah.
I think the Rams. Obviously, Matthew Stafford, he's back. Hopefully, he's healthier. But I like the home team in this matchup. I don't think the Browns are going to be able to put up enough points. Their defense is going to make it interesting, obviously, but I just don't think they can muster up consistent offense, and that's going to be the issue.
Yeah, it's going to be the big question in that one. That's for sure. Chiefs and Packers Sunday night. Games in Green Bay. Kansas City is -6. And we kind of touched on this one, but I like Kansas City in that one. But let's go to Monday night. Bengals and Jags. And I don't think that this is going to be much of a contest. I like Jacksonville here, but that's a big number. It's 8.5. 8.5's a lot.
Yeah, I like Jacksonville in this game too. They better beat them by double digits. These are the kind of games where you want to like dominate the team. So
big time, big time. All right, so elsewhere in the league, just to follow up on this story, a serious one, and who knows exactly what's going on. But Von Miller has turned himself in to authorities in Texas. There was a warrant out for him, domestic violence charge. I am not going to get into the details, but if you want to read the ESPN story, it details what allegedly went down. Not good stuff. I'll just leave it at that. Not good stuff. So I don't know if we will be seeing Von Miller. They're on a bye week this week, are the Bills. They're in the gathering information stage of this thing. But I don't know. It's a very, very dicey situation. So we'll just leave it at that, I guess.
Man, oh man.
The Patriots are still in. Do you believe Belichick's still doing this? He won't cop to who's quarterbacking. Like, this really matters. I mean, honestly, like it really matters. He said Bailey Zappi's been consistent at practice this week. Does that mean it's Bailey Zappi? I don't know. He won't say. Like, nobody cares.
Can we
just stop?
Oh my God, man! You guys are 2-9 now. What is it? 2-10.
Yes, that's what they are.
Come on, man. No one gives a damn about what's going on over there right now.
Yeah.
Just name a quarterback so we can watch you guys die.
Yeah. It's
like, come on.
The only thing of interest with them is whether he's going to stay on or not when the season ends. That's all.
He ain't going nowhere. Not this year, at least.
No, I don't think this year. I'm saying when the season's over.
Oh, no, yeah. Even when the season's over. Yeah, off season, he ain't going nowhere.
You think Belichick stays in New England?
Yep. At least one more year, for sure.
Man, I don't know. I don't know. It's feeling more and more to me like he might be out of there. They might both mutually agree to go see other people. You know what I mean?
Because think about it, right? They're going to judge the quarterback. And I guess the question becomes, does Bill Belichick have it in him to develop a young quarterback, another one? That's going to be the question.
Yeah.
And, I just have a hard time thinking Robert Kraft is going to feel comfortable pushing him out.
Yeah.
And also, what's the alternative?
Well, that's the thing. You better be right. You better be right with whoever you bring in.
Because we know what Bill Belichick's, track record is when he has a competent quarterback. You roll the dice and get him out that building, and you bring in some young hot shot that you think is going to take you over the top. You bet, like you just said, Rob, you better be right.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So elsewhere, you know what? Let's do it, man. Let's do our MVP power ranking as we sit here in week 13.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, look, a lot goes into this. For me, I tried to avoid Tone going into like automatic thinking mode. Like, maybe I'm tipping my hand a little bit with this one, but what the heck? Like, I didn't want to just throw Mahomes in there because he's Mahomes. And believe me, I know what the guy's capable of. I know he could go get on a tear the rest of the way here and certainly put himself right into this discussion. But I don't have him on my list, frankly.
Really?
I do not have Mahomes on my list right now.
Fascinating. Okay.
Yes. Okay. So who wants you want to go first? You want me to go first?
You go first. You
right.
already kind of tipped your hand a little bit, so let's go first.
All right, work my way up 5-1. CJ Stroud is number 5. And I know that would have been unfathomable before the season started, but it's not if you really look at what this guy's done and the way that he's contributed to his team winning. He's thrown for over 3,200 yards. He's averaging more than 8 yards per completion. Completion percentage isn't great, 63.7, but 19 touchdowns to 5 interceptions is excellent. His QB rating is over 100. He's rushed for 132 yards on the ground, and he's got his team winning in a season where it was thought to be a total rebuild. I think he's done an awesome job. If this guy wasn't a rookie, I think people would be much more willing to come around on the MVP conversation with him. For me, he's certainly rookie of the year. But so I have him at number 5. Number 4, Tyreek Hill. I'm not going to all of a sudden forget about what Tyreek Hill's done in the stats that he's put up this year. He's got 1,300 receiving yards. Even CeeDee Lamb, who played last night and had a huge game, only has 1,182. So he's still up. A.J. Brown, who was nipping at his heels, is at 1,050. This guy has been unbelievable, incredibly consistent every single week. Still on pace to put up insane numbers when it's all said and done. And I know he's a receiver, and receivers never get any love in this discussion. Whatever. I'm putting him at number 4. Number 3, I have Christian McCaffrey. Total yards. We talked about this a little bit earlier. He's basically, running away with the rushing stats. He's got 939. The next closest guy, Raheem Mostert, has 785. So he's crushing in that way. He's an excellent pass receiver. He gets in the end zone a ton. I think it's what did I say earlier? 16 times already through 11 games. So the only thing I would worry about if I'm San Francisco is burning him out, just running him into the ground. But nonetheless, number 2, I hate to say this, Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott's number 2. Dak Prescott has got excellent numbers this season for the Cowboys, and they're winning. And the big question obviously is when it's crunch time, when it's playoff time, whatever. But right now he's got 3,200 yards. He's completing 70% of his passes, 26 touchdowns to 6 interceptions, and a 100.8 passer rating. So he's been excellent. Last but not least, I have Jalen Hurts. There's one thing that you hold against him, and it's real, and it's turnovers. And if that doesn't get corrected, it may cost him the MVP. But as of right now, with the way that he's playing, I'm talking as a combo platter here. He's got 18 passing touchdowns, 11 rushing touchdowns. So he's accounted for 29 touchdowns for them. Over 2,600 yards passing, completing more than 67% of his passes. He's rushed now, not huge, but decent numbers for 410 yards. So I'm going with Hurts, and his team's 10-1. All he does is seem to come up big in big spots. So I go Hurts, Prescott, McCaffrey, Hill, Stroud. Went a little out of the box there.
Hey man, I like it. That's a strong list. All right, so here's mine, right? I have Lamar Jackson at 5. His team is in the thick of competing for the number 1 seed. They're appearing to be one of the most dominant teams in the NFL on the season. I know he doesn't have the most touchdowns. He has 18 total touchdowns, 13 passing, 5 rushing. I understand his stats aren't necessarily jumping off of the page, but he's having his most accurate season of his career, completing 68% of his passes. Again, and they can very likely win the number 1 seed in the conference. So I like Lamar Jackson at 5. At number 4, I have Christian McCaffrey. What more needs to be said? Everything you said and some. Christian McCaffrey has just been a dominant force. On the season, he has 16 total touchdowns. I mean, the guy is just dominant. He's damn near indefensible. He is the engine.
Yeah.
On that 49ers team. Don't let anyone convince you of anything else. He is the engine. If he isn't getting if he isn't getting off, no one else will be able to go off. So I have CMC at number 4. I have Dak Prescott at number 3. Dak Prescott is having an amazing season. Even though obviously we don't want to admit that as Eagles fans, but he's having his most accurate season, completing 70% of his passes. He has 28 total touchdowns on the season, 26 passing, 2 rushing. He's just been great. He's protecting the football. He has a good win under his belt, beating the Seahawks on Thursday night. I still hold the fat calories against him, beating up on bad teams, but ultimately that's what you're supposed to do, right? You smother and you crush the teams that you're supposed to, but he has to show up more in games where the opponent is actually going to give him a run for his money. He has a chance to prove that, with this upcoming schedule. But again, he's 3 because I just don't feel like the quality of opponent pushes him over the top. He doesn't have a signature moment for me yet. My number 2 guy, Patrick Mahomes. I know you don't want to put Patrick Mahomes up there because it kind of feels like the lazy thing to do. It's kind of like guaranteed almost, but he's having his most accurate season, believe it or not. Statistically, he's completing 68% of his passes, even though his receivers have been terrible. So imagine if they've actually been doing their job remotely, right? From a statistical perspective, he has 21 touchdowns on the season, all through the air, averaging around 7 yards an attempt. He has 9 interceptions on the season. So he's been pretty decent protecting the football. I just feel like any MVP conversation without Patrick Mahomes is kind of blasphemous a little bit. I mean, especially when he has no receivers to throw the ball to for the most part, with the aging Travis Kelce, who looks like he's literally aging in front of our eyes.
The Swift effect,
right? It could be.
Yeah,
it could
taking
be,
his
man.
legs, women wicked legs. No, I'm kidding. For everybody
No, you're
starts
not.
losing their mind, it's a joke.
No,
It's a
you're not
Rocky
kidding.
reference. Anyway,
No, you're not kidding.
yes.
But anyway, he does have a defense for the first. He does have a legit defense for the first time in his career, but still, he is their offense. And if he's not going, they're not going anywhere. It's just that simple. And number one, man, it goes without saying, Jalen Hurts, right? Jalen Hurts is having a spectacular season, if you ask me. I understand that he has 13 turnovers on the season, 10 interceptions, and 3 fumbles. I totally understand that. But for me, I'm looking at it like this. He's having a career year in terms of completion percentage. He's on pace for a career year in yards. He's averaging just under 8 yards an attempt. He has 18 passing and 11 rushing touchdowns. That's 29 touchdowns on the season. That's more touchdowns than Dakota Prescott. That's just the reality. Again, I understand Dak Prescott and Mahomes have less turnovers, but Jalen Hurts, in my opinion, I feel like he has one of the highest impacts on winning. He has about 4 signature wins, 4 signature victories on the season. 2 of them have been maybe the most entertaining games that we've seen all season, beating the Chiefs at Arrowhead. I think that has to count for something. And then you beat Josh Allen, although you were at home, but your team wasn't doing well in the first half. You come back and you put up 5 touchdowns, 4 that came in the second half, and you scored the walk-off touchdown, and you were methodical, and you were accurate. He's the best quarterback in crunch time, the best quarterback when either tied or trailing in the NFL. It's hard to bet against a guy like that. And again, because of the schedule makers, he has had more opportunities to prove why he is the MVP, beating Tua early in the season when they were known as the greatest show on surf. You beat Dak Prescott when he came.
I still
to
love
Philly.
that name, by the way. I get a kick out of it every time.
I love it too.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah. No, you're fine. I love it too. You beat the Dallas Cowboys, regardless of how people feel about how it went. You beat the Dallas Cowboys and you outplayed Dak Prescott. Yes, he had more yards, but you were more efficient. You were more effective. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think they had the same amount of touchdowns. I just think they came. In different ways for both quarterbacks. Let me make sure I got this right here. In that game, Dak Prescott threw for 3 touchdowns, and Jalen Hurts in that game, he put up 3 touchdowns himself, 2 in the air, 1 on the ground. Neither quarterback threw an interception, and neither quarterback turned the ball over. So, in my opinion, he outplayed him. So yeah, that's why Jalen Hurts is my MVP. More signature wins, more big moments, more MVP caliber moments than Patrick Mahomes, than Dak Prescott, then Lamar Jackson, then CMC.
Yeah, and look, obviously, we got a long way to go here. A lot of games to be played before there's a determination made. But it's always fun to visit these things and just see where things are right now.
Because for me, MVP is all about the moments, right? It's all about those like when you look back at the season, like what like do you have enough moments that say, whoa, like did it grab your attention, right? MVP moments. Where did you prove your value, right? And I feel like I just feel like Hurts has the most of those out of all the guys that we talked about.
Especially, I mean, look at the last 3 games. Just go back to the Cowboys game, the Kansas City game, and then this game this past week against Buffalo. He's got a ton of them that just stand out to you.
Right. And look, you look at the stats, you say, well, 2 turnovers. Then you're like, whoa, 5 touchdowns. What the hell? So it's like you gotta give credit where credit is due, man. It's what he's done these past couple weeks, what he's done these past 4 weeks, let's put it that way, has been nothing short of amazing.
Well, the other thing that to keep your eye on here, the next at least 2 games could potentially push one guy one way or the other. McCaffrey goes crazy in this game. It could help him a lot. Jalen goes crazy in this game. The next week, Dak goes nuts or Jalen goes nuts. It could really tip the scales
It will. It
for either
it
one of
will.
these things.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I'll put it to you this way: if Jalen Hurts loses any one of these games, he's not winning MVP.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'll be
because
honest
likely if
about
they
it.
lose, he probably, unless the defense is horrible, which is, I mean, anything's a possibility. But
Mhm,
if they lose, he probably will have not played his best football, right?
mhm.
And I think the one thing though that voters could hang their hat on is he has turned the ball over a lot. And you can't get away from that, and that's a problem. He's got to clean that up as we go forward, not only for the team, but obviously if he wants to win the MVP, also he's got to clean that up.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's get a timeout in. We'll hit a bunch of things, and then we'll close it out. We'll give our predictions. You give us your predictions in the chat. We'll give our storylines, how we think this thing shakes out. We'll do all of that when we come back. Fun fact about oral hygiene from Shannon Sharp. An update from LeBron James, and you do not want to be the Detroit Pistons. Trust me when I tell you that. We'll do all those things when we come back. Don't go anywhere. That's Tone to Shields. I'm Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Right back.
I remember getting my heart broken when they lost the Super Bowl in 2004. We're big Eagles fans. We moved to South Philly because of the Eagles. When they won, we went straight to Broad Street, and everybody was going nuts over there, and it was just a memory that you'll never forget.